By the 30s, there were nearly 1,400 Johnnies making their way across the Channel, bringing with them 9,000 tonnes of onions every year.
We got to see French onions as superior to English onions, which is rubbish. And this is why we're so popular with French onion soup over in this country. It should just be onion soup. But we have the onion Johnnies to thank for that.
But garlic was a slower starter and took another 20 years to hit the dinner tables in Britain. And it was one particular food writer who was the catalyst of change.
Elizabeth David was the great innovator in the sense that she brought the magic of French provincial cooking into our homes, and she made garlic acceptable again.
By the 70s, people are actually cooking with garlic in increasing numbers, not only because they see it as a sign of culinary sophistication and of keeping up with the Joneses, but also because they've actually come to like the taste.
These days, garlic has become an everyday foodstuff.
Nowadays, if you get the wet garlic, the new season garlic, that's being roasted whole in restaurants and served to spread on toast. Well, my grandparents would have had a canary fit at the idea of just spreading garlic on toast like peanut butter. It's a lot more popular.
Even if you're not yet eating them on toast, I personally couldn't imagine a kitchen without garlic and onions. Now, when I think of onions in cookery, I think of France. When I think of French onions, I think of a soup. And the essence of a good French onion soup is very few ingredients, but a stunning result. Contrary to popular belief, even the hardest chefs cry when they're chopping onions. And the reason for that is because onions contain more than 100 different sulfur compounds. And it's these sulfur compounds that cause us to cry when we're chopping onions. As the onion's sliced, the cells are broken open and some of these sulfur compounds are released as a gas, where it reacts with the water in your eye and creates a mild solution of sulfuric acid. The acid irritates the nerve endings in the eye, making them really sting. And then the tear glands create tears which dilute and flush out the irritant. Right, when all your onions are sliced, put the whole lot straight into a pan of melting butter. The magic ingredient at this stage is time, because this is going to take around about half an hour for these onions to sweat down and start caramelising. Once you get to this stage, what this needs is a splash of alcohol. I'm going to use white wine. You could use red if you wanted to, but I like the white wine. Work that white wine into the onions. What we want to do now is to reduce that wine away almost completely, because what we want is the concentrated wine flavour, but not the volume. So the next thing we're going to add is the stock. I could not give you any advice other than make yourself a really good beef stock. Allow the stock to reduce by about half, at which point the stock and onion ratio will be just right. The most important bit has got to be the cheesy crouton on top. And in order to give that an even bigger flavour, I'm just going to rub both sides with a raw clove of garlic. And now on top of that, this is Emmental cheese. Cheddar will not do. And then before you serve, you put these into the oven and you end up with just the best cheese sandwich on top of a French onion soup. Right. Now the stock's come down and concentrated the flavour. Let's have a quick taste. Ooh, that is so good. When you serve it, make sure you get that same stock to onions ratio that's going on in the pan. Right. When you put the croutons in, make sure you push them down a bit, because the bottom will start absorbing the soup up. So you've got a nice soggy base and a crisp, cheesy top. And there you go. That is not just a soup, it's a meal in itself. Onions and garlic have been touted as the latest superfood, bursting with an array of health-giving properties.
Garlic is good for blood pressure.
And if you fly, they recommend that you take a clove of garlic with you.
Garlic's meant to lower your cholesterol, and onion, I'm sure it's got lots of benefits, but I don't know which one.
It was a substitute for Viagra.
And there is some truth behind what we believe.
I think onions and garlic are such a versatile ingredient, but we often take them for granted, and it's only recently that scientists have started discovering the health benefits that they have. You know, we talk a lot about superfoods these days, but we expect superfoods to be exotic, things like goji berries and acai berries. But onions and garlic are actually very good superfoods.
Scientists believe that garlic could be an important weapon against the biggest global killer, coronary heart diseases.
There are studies which have shown that people who do have heart problems do benefit from garlic. It does actually reduce the amount of cholesterol in the blood. And one of the major problems we've got these days is we eat too many of the wrong types of fat. Fat sticks to the edge of the arteries, and gradually that'll build up until it actually blocks certain arteries and certain veins, and you end up with circulation problems. Now, garlic, as an antioxidant, is able to break down these fats before they actually manage to build up and create huge problems.
But the trouble is that while garlic is good for you, it also has an undesirable side effect.
When cooked with garlic, and sometimes the smell can kind of still linger in your mouth.
If you eat a proper curry or you eat something with plenty garlic, when you burp, everyone can smell it.
One of the downsides of eating too much fresh garlic is garlic breath, of course. And as soon as you chew a clove of garlic, you start this chemical reaction which releases a chemical called allicin. Now, immediately, the receptors in your nose can pick up this sulfur chemical. And basically, that's what causes the bite and the burn at the back of your tongue and the smell. Allicin is absorbed through the gut and the lower intestine quite happily. It gets into the bloodstream, and at that stage you can detect it, and it'll start to break down into all these other sulfur chemicals, some of which also contribute to the classic garlic breath symptom. And garlic's unique in this respect, really, in that it can very quickly be released through the pores of the skin. So if you have a big, heavy garlic meal, and then the next morning you go and play a game of squash or golf or tennis or anything like that, you'll find that the garlic sulfur chemicals will leach out through the pores of your skin, and you won't be very popular in the club afterwards, I'm afraid. And sometimes it can last for anything up to 2 or 3 days.